But thanks for being here. MVP Podcast, Season 2, Episode 11. We've got Amanda here. Give us a little background of where you came from, what you do. What?
Episode 12.
We're on 12. I'm sorry, everybody. We're an episode behind. Or I'm an episode behind. Episode 12. I was even doing that as I was logging in. Like, okay, episode 12. 10 was without you. 11 was with you back. We're on 12, but I said 11. But Amanda, give us a little bit of background of what you do, how you got there, both professional, personal, however you want to take it. Just give the audience kind of a background.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Marcus and Natasha, for having me on today. I love talking about real estate, so I'm very excited for this conversation. So my background, my mom is a real estate agent. And so growing up for me, I was always exposed, to real estate. And it was always kind of ingrained in me, that real estate is a great investment. And, my mom would take me to showings, and she told me a really funny story recently that actually on a showing, I was probably like 7 or 8. She took me along to a showing once, and I actually started giving the tour. I was like, no, I can do this. And I just started giving the tour. So I've always—
Did you get some of the commission though?
Oh, I wish. I wasn't, my negotiating skills at that point, I hadn't honed them yet. So yeah. But yeah, I was always, kind of really interested in real estate. I took a very traditional path through college. I got my master's degree in accounting. I went to work for a Big 4 accounting firm. And, I did the thing for about 10 years where you trade your time for money. And, I made good money, but I worked a lot. And I just started to, question, like, there's got to be a better way. Like, I need to do something different. And so last year, actually, right before the pandemic started, I was like, I'm going to buy a rental, and I'm just going to figure it out. And my mom and my dad own a couple of rentals in Montana where I grew up. And so that was kind of the market that I knew. And so I purchased a single family home in Montana, and started renting it out. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I got one single family home. And then I was like, but how do I want to do more of this? Like, I want to go bigger. I want to do it faster. It took me a long time to save that down payment. And now what, right?
Yeah.
So I started kind of researching and reading books and things like that. And I met my partner, Javier, about a year ago, and he had started investing in real estate in Cleveland. And I was like, Cleveland, what is going on in Cleveland? Like, that wasn't even on my radar at all. And he kind of explained to me, the cash flow, the economics, and it just blew my mind because the market was so different than Montana, and really opened my eyes to the possibility, I guess, how differently you can make your money work in a market like Cleveland versus a market like where I was investing in Montana, which is a lot more expensive. So he turned me on to Cleveland, and very quickly he asked if I would move to Cleveland with him for 6 months so that we could focus on building our real estate business there. So, very fortunate that we both have W-2 jobs that allow us to work remotely. And we actually moved to Cleveland January through June of this year.
Wow.
So we were there for 6 months, and, the whole purpose of being there was basically to buy as much real estate as we could, to manage these properties ourselves, to make connections. And so that's what we did. We got there. We own 9 units in Cleveland right now, and they're mostly duplexes, a triplex, a couple of single family homes.
So I have to ask you, where in Montana did you live? My husband lived in Montana for 9 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I grew up in Kalispell.
Okay. He worked in Hamilton, Montana.
Okay. So that's kind of in the general area. That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Very small world. I love it.
It's awesome.
I drove through the corner of Montana on the way to Colorado. So I was like in and then out. And that's all I know of Montana.
Yeah. Yeah, so Montana's awesome, right? But it's especially with COVID, it's been a really interesting market because a lot of people from coastal cities, California, Washington, decided to move to COVID. And I never could have predicted, what would have happened with the property that I purchased there, but it's actually appreciated so much in value that I was able to do a cash out refi, took out all of my initial investment, and I've been able to raise the rent. So that thing is cash flowing like crazy. And I don't have any money in it anymore, right? I was able to take all that money and invest it in something else. So that was like, I never could have predicted that when I purchased it, but it worked out.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And now, are you guys currently in Cleveland, or are you two moved on to the new city to take over?
Yeah, so we moved back to Seattle in July. And at that point in time, we thought that we would be going back into the office. And that hasn't really materialized. But it's fine. So we're back in Seattle, which is where we want to be, to live. But when we were in Cleveland managing all of those, single family homes and duplexes ourselves, we very quickly realized like this is not scalable for us. We wanted to figure out how to buy bigger buildings, more units, just to take advantage of some of the economies of scale. And we were like, okay, how do we do this? So we spent several months researching and networking with people who were doing it. We ended up actually joining a mastermind that's full of people who are, who are doing it. They're buying big buildings, they're syndicating, they're doing, joint ventures and things like that. And so we set a goal back in March of this year that we wanted to own 50 units by the end of this year. And I'm very excited to say that we actually are on track to own over 180 units by the end of this year.
That's awesome.
We blew that.
This is where we need the siren effects. We need those to go off. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's just the beginning. We're super excited, but we made it happen. And a lot of that is just who we surrounded ourselves with and the power of, networking and being in a mastermind. We couldn't have done it without that.
And so just trying to get the whole timeline of this, when did you buy your first property in Montana?
It was February of 2020.
Okay. So now we are in October, almost November of 2021, and you're at almost, how many you're on pace for 100, but you're at how many units ish?
Yeah. So we have, we partnered with some folks to buy 151 units in Columbus, Ohio. And then we're going to close, actually, I think we closed yesterday on 32 units in South Carolina. So we've got 190, let's call it, now.
So for all those people that didn't have time or the resources through COVID to do anything, you are proof that you can do something. You just bought 190 units when the economy was shut down.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
And now when you go back to the office, it's going to feel so much nicer that you don't have to go there. You get to go back to your job and be social, and you've got all this passive income coming in. That's right. Kudos to you for buckling down during like what is for most people like the worst period ever. Absolutely. You have a little bit of a different view on that.
Well, we never could have gone to Cleveland to do that if the pandemic hadn't happened. Right. The fact that we're very fortunate to have jobs that allow us to work from home, that had that flexibility, because we couldn't have done it otherwise.
Yeah. No, that's exciting. Congratulations for you guys. And do you guys have now like this little bug in you where you're like, okay, now let's look at the next city and or are you going to go in Seattle?
Oh yeah. Great question. So a few different things. So as part of this mastermind, we're so grateful because we're surrounded by like 70 other people who are all doing the same thing. So every day we're on this massive group chat and people are talking about the deals that they have and all different markets. They're spread all across the country. So we have another project coming up. We're going to be doing a joint venture in South Carolina to turn some single family homes into student housing. So we're really excited about that. And we are focused still on Cleveland in terms of we're doing some direct to seller efforts in Cleveland, trying to find some properties there, bigger units. We're looking probably in the 20 to 60 range, probably in terms of building size. And we're getting a little bit of traction there. So that's exciting. But, you know, we're open to partnering with the right people in other markets. It just kind of depends on what the deal looks like. Seattle's kind of an interesting market because the cap rates are so low that, you know, to make something cash flow is really difficult, especially if you have to get financing on it. There was a property we were thinking about purchasing and flipping, but it just didn't work out. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a different animal flipping. Like you're still within real estate, but flipping in terms of what needs to go on and then renting what needs to go on. They're two different avenues. So that'd be like starting all over almost once again.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a totally different skill set.
Yeah. The mastermind thing I was going to ask you about. I've obviously like seen them come through social media. People email you about masterminds coming up. I always thought, okay, yeah, I get it, but I never take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
You are saying worth it, do it. If you have the opportunity, take it.
Yeah, well, I would say do your research because not every mastermind is created equally. You know, and the value that you get out of the mastermind is going to really depend on who's running it. So I would say get a feel for who it is that's running it. What is their experience in the space? What's their energy like? You know, what are their ethics like? Do those match, you know, where you want to go and how you want to operate? And understand what's the value that you're going to get out of it, right? Is it education? Are they going to give you systems? Are they going to give you, you know, templates? Are they going to invite you into deals? Like what is it that you are going to get out of that? For us, you know, it's education, it's accountability. It's, you know, I think that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend time with, right? I think we've all heard that. And so for us, being surrounded by people who are doing the exact thing that we want to do is so inspiring, and it keeps us accountable because we both have full-time W-2 jobs. And it could be very easy to just say like, you know, I had a long day. I don't really want to do anything other than sit on the couch. But, you know, we'll get messages in our mastermind chat and then people are like, oh, I just closed this deal and, you know, I just did this. I'm like, I want that too. So I need to take action. I need to underwrite this deal. I need to call this owner. I need to, you know, so I think it's really powerful. And I also think, you know, it is an investment. I know there are people out there who are like, oh, you shouldn't have to pay for it. And there are lots of free resources and you can do it on your own. And there are free resources and you can do it on your own, but I think it's a lot harder to do it that way.
Yeah. And when you guys went, you'd had one deal done in Montana, and Javier has done, I don't know, a few in Cleveland. So still relatively early for both of you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When we joined the mastermind? Yeah, we owned 9 units in Cleveland together when we joined the mastermind. And really that was,
gotcha.
You know, yeah, we were sitting there, we're like, okay, we've got 9 units. And again, that's spread across like 4 or 5 different properties. They're small, multifamily. And we were just like, how do we scale? You know, we've read books, we've listened to podcasts, we understand conceptually like what a syndication is and things like that. But we were just like, how do we even start? Like, where do we find these deals? How do we underwrite these deals? Like, how do we evaluate what a good deal is, you know? And so we really needed to be in the vicinity and surrounded by people who were doing that thing so that we can learn from them.
Yeah. And did Javier have like a real estate background? I know you mentioned your mom did, but he's fresh, new?
Well, I think so his grandmother was a real estate agent as well. And I think his parents also owned, some real estate, but really for both of us, we were the primary motivation for getting into real estate is understanding the power of real estate as an investment to change your financial situation, right? And we both have great W-2 jobs and we make good money, but ultimately we don't want to spend our time trading our time for money. We want to have the money that we make go work really hard for us so that we can retire from our W-2 jobs. And for us, that's the most appealing thing about it. So no, I mean, he did a bunch of research and what I love about him is he is an action taker. He did some research and he was like, I'm going to fly to Cleveland. I'm going to make some connections. He took a trip out there, purchased 2 single family homes, all cash. On that trip, he was just like, I'm doing it. And in retrospect, like single family homes, all cash, like maybe that's not the greatest decision, but he was just like, I need to get started. That's
where I started.
Yeah.
That's where I started. Single family off market deal. Yeah. Cash. I mean, that's how I started. So I get it.
Absolutely.
One single family, or my primary residence, and then one investment. So
yeah, and same here, right? I started with a single family too, and I think just to get into the game and to understand, how do you do a transaction? Like, how do you rent it out? Like, I think it's a great place to start. So
right. No, it is. Less moving pieces. Once you start getting into multifamily, obviously things get a little bit more difficult, but I've heard it the other way. Listening to podcasts and talking to people, they're like, if you can buy a single family, you can buy a fourplex. You just have a little bit more work to do, but I mean, the X's and O's are the same. And I was like, it depends on who's going in. Is this somebody who's never done this before? Because then it's like, you might be biting off too much, but you never know until they jump in what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think a lot of people can get stuck in the, analysis paralysis and feeling like, oh, I'm not ready. And the truth is you're probably never going to be ready to take that big leap. But you're not going to learn anything if you don't do it. And so I think it's about educating yourself, but also taking the leap and just knowing that like, we'll figure it out. And you probably will make some mistakes, but that's okay. And that's how you learn. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Oops.
What is next on my video? Just stopped. Sorry. What's next on your list here? You've already done the syndication, which is something that I'm like trying to get into. That would be super awesome to get into. Is there the next kind of goal for you guys, or do you guys have a retirement goal? I know you mentioned that once. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have that like circled on your big calendar about when you want to retire?
Yeah, we have lots of goals. What's so awesome, and this is part of the mastermind program that we're doing too, but we sat down in June and kind of wrote out a vision board, which is a combination of tangible goals, like I said, the 50 units that we wanted to have by the end of the year, as well as some non-tangible goals, things that, like we want to have, we want to plan trips, we want to do date nights, we want to take care of ourselves like mentally and physically as well. So we kind of created a holistic vision board. And what's so cool, we were just looking at this last week, but like most of the goals that we set out for ourselves, we've already accomplished. Like we blew that 50 units out of the water. We've done a syndication. We're about to do a JV. You know, so we're like, okay, like we got to set bigger goals then.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer your question, we want to retire. I would say 2 to 3 years max is kind of the runway that we've given ourselves. We are raising capital for some upcoming syndications. We're partnering with a fantastic team of experienced operators in the syndication space, and so we're focusing on raising capital for some of those deals. And then we're also partnering, like I was saying earlier, with some joint venture partners on some deals in South Carolina, which are going to be heavy lift. We're converting some single family homes into student housing, but the returns there are really exciting, and it's a great opportunity. So a lot, we're focused on a lot. I think the main ones are the big ones, the retirement goal. And then we want to raise $1 million by the end of this year, and to have that ready for an upcoming syndication deal that's going to happen likely early next year.
That's awesome. And do you guys go into syndication because you're doing a lot of long distance real estate and investing? Are you doing syndications because you get that backing of the management support, or was it just due to we came upon this, it was a great idea, we took it? Or was there like some thoughtfulness in there? Because I'm trying to picture something goes out and you have a house in South Carolina and you're in Seattle. Mm-hmm. What do we do?
Yeah, so the syndication model is really awesome because it allows you to buy bigger assets at a much bigger scale. And so what that means is that we are getting to partner with people who have a ton of experience in this space. So the Columbus, Ohio deal, for example, was a syndication, and the folks that we partnered with there, they already own a number of assets already in Columbus. So they're experienced in that market. They have boots on the ground, property management. They have, vertically integrated systems as well in terms of leasing and, maintenance and all this kind of stuff. So they understand and know how to execute the business plan to get it done. And so we wouldn't have felt comfortable investing in Cleveland if those things hadn't been in place. And I think, what I'm seeing now on social media and things like that, you get so many people who are like, I've got this deal in Texas, 400 units or whatever, right? But I think it's really important to understand who is running this deal, who's executing the business plan.
Right.
Do they have experience doing that? Because you could invest your money with somebody who maybe this is the first time they've ever done it. And, for us, like we're still, pretty early in our journey. Eventually we would like to get to that place where we are also very experienced operators. But for now, like partnering with people who have done that and learning from their experience, we're getting paid to learn, basically, right? Like we're invested in the deal. We're getting a share of the general partnership. And that's like the best of every scenario, right? Like we're getting a share, and we're learning from their experience along the way.
Yeah. I guess now that you're talking about syndication, I think my first dabble in real estate wasn't a syndication. Have you ever heard of Fundrise?
Yeah, I have.
That was my first real estate deal. I put in like $1,000 into that, and that's just a big syndication, but it's on a much smaller scale than what you're talking about. I'm in an apartment in Dallas for like 40 cents. So it's like super, super small, or like $4. So it's small, but it's a syndication. It never really clicked until you're now talking about it. So, but yeah, it does. You get some returns, you get some dividends out of it, but it's completely hands off. I have no idea what's going on with the deal. I'm not the managing partner. I am just quote unquote the money, which at that point it's like $500 from so many different people that everything kind of gets diluted. But it's a fun little investment. It's my gambling. That's my gambling. People go and gamble on sports. I'm on the stock market and on that fund rise with like my fund money.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, I think there are so many different ways to get into real estate investing. And I think it really depends on what is your goal, you know? Do you want to be completely hands off? Because if you do, there are tons of ways you can be a passive investor. And I think that that's a great example, right? There are lots of platforms like that out there. You could be a limited partner in a syndication, and also just be totally hands off, right?
I need to look more into this because this is like totally up my alley.
Yeah. I mean, you are a non like active investor though. You've got your property out in Portland. Mm-hmm. Your goal is to move out there. Yep. So you're now 10 years in advance setting up your system to like get out there and live cheaper than what you do if you just 10 years from now bought a house.
Can I just tell you though, like everything has been going wrong with this house lately. It's just such a headache. But that's okay. Our head is still above water, and it's just, you know, like it's like the stove will break and then the pipes are leaking and then it's just, but I think we're good for now. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
You're going to get out there in 10 years and be like, it wasn't even that bad.
I know, right?
So do you get to go out to South Carolina and see these properties? Is it really just you get on the phone call, they talk to you about it, you trust them, you do your due diligence, check them out, and then you go in?
Mm-hmm. We have not made a visit to South Carolina yet, but we would like to. That's definitely in the plans. You know, and there again, we are partnering with somebody who is in the area, who lives in the area, who can drive to the property very quickly, who understands the market. You know, for us right now, like we know the Cleveland market really well. So we feel confident if somebody brought us a deal in Cleveland, we would know exactly like good or bad. But in South Carolina, we're less attuned at the moment to exactly, you know, all the different factors. So we're partnering with someone who has a ton of experience in the space, who's been there for a long time, who we trust. And so we didn't feel like we needed to go there to actually lay eyes on the property or, you know, do our own physical inspection, because we trust the people that we're partnering with.
Yeah. And obviously there needs to be a lot of trust in that. And I was going to ask you a question, and this is a personal question, so if you don't feel like answering it completely, that's fine. But our audience, for the most part, they're all new. They've never gotten into investing. And you talked about raising money. Mm-hmm. I was the same thing. When I started this, I had negative money to my name. So when you get into real estate investing, you have to raise money. I try to talk about how it's not awkward. The people that you are talking to about, hey, I want to get into real estate. Do you have money that you want to get in this deal with? They're looking to send money to make money on it. So it's not this weird relationship where I'm asking for money for someone who doesn't want to give money. But can you give your experience about raising capital, kind of like where you go, who you talk to, why you talk to them, and in whatever detail you want, just to kind of help our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's such a critical, like you said, such a critical component to getting into especially bigger deals, right? And that's what a syndication is all about. You're buying, you know, a $10 million asset and individually, like you're not going to be able to probably not going to be able to come up with, you know, all of that money by yourself. So I think, you know, you mentioned trust. And I think that first and foremost, that is critical to anytime you're talking about an investment opportunity or, you know, raising capital or asking for money. Trust is really important. Trust not only they need to trust you as a person and, you know, why are you doing this deal and what is that all about? But also if you're partnering with other people, you know, can you trust those people? What is their track record? Have they demonstrated success? I think that trust component is really important. But also like you're presenting an opportunity. You're not just asking for their money just to get their money. You're presenting them with a way to make money. And I think what we've learned in the process is that there are some people who understand real estate and who understand the power of real estate as an investment vehicle. Maybe they've done a little bit of research on their own, and they get, okay, you want my money? Like, sure, I understand all of the components that go into that, what kind of return I'm going to get, all of that good stuff, right? And so they are more than willing to participate. They want to partner. They get it. There are a lot more people who would be great investors, but maybe they don't understand why real estate. They're comfortable with stocks and maybe they're invested in Bitcoin or, but real estate is maybe a little bit of like, they don't really understand exactly how it works. And so for us, we educate those people. We talk about all the different benefits that are a part of real estate investing. But ultimately, you just have to understand that like some people aren't going to get it. And even if you feel really passionately that like, this is a great investment and tax benefits and, all of the stuff, it's not for everybody. And that's okay. And some people take a little bit longer to warm up to the idea of what it is that you're doing. And I think that it's about just demonstrating, your track record, your success, talking about what you're doing. I think that over time, those people who are skeptical of what you're doing are going to see that. And eventually they're going to be like, hey, how do I get in on that? I know you talked to me about that a few years ago, but I'm ready now. So sometimes it's a longer game, but for us, just talking about what we're doing, being open with people about it, and just seeing what they're interested in, and what a good deal looks like for them too. I think that's the other really critical piece, is that some people, don't want to have their capital tied up for 5 to 7 years, right? They want it to be liquid. They want to be able to access it whenever they need. Well, real estate might not be the best investment for you right now. And I think you need to be able to recognize that and say, hey, I don't want you to invest in this deal, right? Because your criteria for a good deal doesn't match what we're trying to do here.
Right. And I think that might be a little off-putting in the beginning, because when you get into real estate, you want every deal and you want all activity because you're nervous that there's not going to be any activity. And then when you get into it, you're like, there's good activity and bad activity. And right now, like, this just doesn't line up with me, and I'm going to let this one go. There's been a couple of times on like the agent side that I'm like, I don't think we're going to work well here. I don't say that to them. I'm going to refer you onto this person. They're going to be better to help you, because I know that I just can't offer the skills that they want or that direct thing that they want. And yeah, I think matching and aligning what you want to get out of it is huge. Do you want to do flipping? Do you want to do buy and hold? Do you want to do multifamily? Do you want to do single family? Do you want to do this little region? Do you want to go nationwide? Do you want to build a portfolio and sell it? And there's so many different possibilities, but when you first start out, you don't know the endless possibilities, that you just want everything. And it gets like a little cluttered.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think, look, no deal is better than a bad deal.
Yes.
So I think, it is really easy to, especially when you're getting started, to feel like, I gotta just get something, I gotta like, whatever it is, but but then you're stuck with it. And like, if it's a bad deal, like that could ruin you. So I would rather be smart about it and say no to the wrong opportunity.
Yeah. But it's hard. It is hard. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully you have the trust of somebody from you've met either through networking or when you were talking about Bitcoin, I laughed, and it wasn't about Bitcoin. I'm on this networking app. It's kind of like a dating app on your phone, left or right, swiping, but there'll be lenders or real estate agents or investors, and I can go left or right, and they're in my area, and you can like sit and talk to them and message them and all that. So it's super cool. But more and more you're seeing in their bios, not interested in Bitcoin, not interested in Bitcoin, not interested, because everybody is trying to pump Bitcoin. So I laughed when you mentioned it because I was like, yeah, I see that every day.
What is that
app? Sharper, I believe it's called. SHARPR.
Okay.
If I go off my phone, we'll leave it in the show notes. If I go off my phone, you're gonna lose my video. But I'll get the name of it. It's nationwide because you can set your miles, you can set industries that you're interested in. But yeah, it's just basically swipe right or left, and if you connect, then you can chat with them. If you don't, then you just move on. Like there are some lenders in Washington that I wouldn't utilize for me. So nothing against them, but I don't swipe on them. So
that's really interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah. And I don't know who told me about it, but it was during one of those networking events. They said that they had invited some people, and I was like, oh, how many people do you have? And he's like, well, they're recent connections. And he showed me this app, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. They do it for dating. They should do it for business.
I like it. Yeah, that's great.
So I'll get that name. We'll put it in the show notes and all that stuff.
Cool.
But we're coming up. Oh, we're on 40. Natasha.
Yes.
You did the long distance thing.
I did.
Is a lot of this stuff resonating with you in terms of buying long distance, the nerves, all that kind of stuff?
Oh my God. I'm still like nervous about it because I'm trying to make sure the tenant is happy and taken care of. And the hard part for me is we have a property management company. And so all of the issues or complaints, it's kind of like playing a game of like telephone. Like the tenant talks to the property management company, and then the property management company talks to me, where it's like, I just wish that I could have a conversation with the tenant versus like having to talk to the property management company. But I understand why they do that. It's one of those things. I just need to get used to it. I've never been a landlord. So it's a little bit, I'm just unsure right now. And I'm kind of getting into the headspace of, okay, like I can get behind this. I can handle it. It's no big deal. But
yeah, relying on the property management company is difficult for people. But you selected it that way for a reason, though, in the beginning. Sure. In the beginning, you were like, this is what I need to do.
Yes.
You just need to keep that faith, like this was the right decision.
Well, for sure, because I don't know how to draw up a lease in Oregon. I don't know, like, I didn't know what the correct rental rate would be. I don't know, like, handyman out there. I don't know any of this stuff out there. So I needed somebody to be my person, for lack of a better word. So yeah, no, they're great. It's just, getting used to how everything flows.
Yeah. And Amanda, with your syndications, with you having multiple people in it, are you still able to talk to the property management company like Natasha is? Or is that really hands off?
That's a good question. So in the partnership that we have, there are very clearly defined roles. So there are folks in our general partnership who their role is asset management, and they are the ones who are talking to the property manager, managing that whole process, stepping in if they need to, making sure that we're on track in terms of turning units and releasing them and all of that kind of stuff. That's not my role in this particular partnership. So, when we do calls and things like that, we'll get updates on what's going on. And, if we have questions, we can ask questions. But because it is a larger group of people that we're partnering with, we have to have, everyone needs a lane to be in, right? We can't have everybody trying to go and talk to the property manager and do that. So.
Yeah. Because envision 10 people calling the property manager about a broken washing machine.
Yeah, that's
not a little intense.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Exactly.
Natasha, I'm gonna let you take the last question because you haven't asked this question in.
I know.
Maybe been 2 months.
It's been a long time. So my question that I like to ask is, do you have a favorite like DIY project that you guys have done together or by yourself?
Oh, this is such a good question. So When we first moved to Cleveland, we were like, we're going to manage all these properties ourselves. And as a result of that, we ended up doing a lot of things I never imagined that I would do. A couple of my favorite stories are literally like the first day that we're in Cleveland. Javier had purchased a property that closed as we were on our way to Cleveland. So we own this property already. We get there and the tenant's like, my kitchen cabinet is falling apart and I've been wanting it, needs to be replaced. The old property manager never did anything about it. And Javier was like, okay, we're going to replace your cabinet today. And so we went to Lowe's, we bought a new cabinet. We watched a YouTube video on how to hang a cabinet and, and like, we didn't have any tools either because we just drove over there with so we like had to rent a drill, all this stuff. And so we hung a cabinet and I was like, this is insane. Like, I cannot believe that we.
Very nice.
Yeah. So that's one story. My other favorite story is in the same property. We had a tenant move in and the first day didn't have hot water. And so we're like, okay, we got to figure this out immediately. It's, the middle of winter. We had a guy come out who had some plumbing expertise. And this guy is so funny. He looked at the situation and he was like, oh, well, your hot water pipe isn't connected to where it needs to be connected to. And he was like, I could do this job. It's easy. It's an easy thing to do. But like, why don't I just tell you how to do it? And then you can just do it. Like, it's really easy. You can just do it. And we were like, like, that's too much. Like, cause we need a saw to cut the pipes and like, oh my gosh. So anyway, this guy, we ended up convincing him that we wanted to pay him to do the work. And so he did, but like, he taught us how to do it as he was doing it, which was kind of fun. So I feel like now if we ran into a light plumbing situation, we could probably figure it out. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My husband and I, the only thing that we really had to do at our new place in Oregon was because they were like these honey oak cabinets that are just, nobody likes honey oak cabinets. They just don't, let's be honest. So we went out and we got gel stain and we stained them and they look like night and day difference. It's just like, oh, that was really easy and really simple. And it took us all night and a bottle of wine, but we got it done. We're like, oh, okay, we can check that off our list. We made an improvement. Yay. But my husband has watched YouTube University for all of the projects he's done around our house here. Like he had never even painted a room until I met him. So
oh, nice. It's amazing what you can learn on the internet these days.
Yeah. I don't know how contractors did it in the past.
Yeah.
Because I'll be going through jobs and it's like a specific model that needs one specific thing hooked up this one certain way in the sequence. I'm like, I've never dealt with this before. But you go on YouTube and it's like how to hook up this model to this countertop. I'm like, okay, well, this will be easy. 5 minutes later, I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they did it in the past with like all this new, like, I guess there wasn't much of a variety of product, but still there's a few and you got to know all of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, YouTube U is where the answers are at. At least the first answer. And then you work with your plumbers. I mean, that's like where you're going to pick up stuff. Work with your contractors. If they let you sit in and watch them. I mean, it's weird, but when they were running through my house, I was sitting with the HVAC guy. And I'm like, hey, can you explain how a furnace works? Because I get the concept of what it does to your house, but like, how does it work?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So he sat there and was like, tell me about the components. I still couldn't repeat it, but it was cool to listen.
Totally.
You'll learn a little bit more each time that you ask them questions. Yeah. And you can just put it away in your little library and be good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And even if you can't, I don't think that your goal is necessarily to like do their job going forward. But now if you have an HVAC system that breaks down, maybe you'll be able to ask better questions about what's wrong, or to help troubleshoot it, or know like, okay, who do I need to hire to come fix it, right? Like all of that just makes you a smarter property manager, landlord. I mean, it just takes time. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I hope you guys keep on trucking with it.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you guys back when you're close to retirement. And my guess, I'm scared to say it because I don't want to kill your drive right now. You've hit every goal before you've said you've wanted to. I'm like rooting for you. I'll put it that way. I'm rooting for you guys to hit your retirement goal first before the 3-year mark that you're setting.
Yes, I love that energy.
So you got the cheerleader from Wisconsin rooting you on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, I always want to make sure, how do people get a hold of you if they want to bounce even questions off of like, hey, I want to get started. Your story was awesome. Give me advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is newheightsequity.com. And you can schedule a call with us on there. You can send us an email. We've got some educational content as well, links to other podcasts that we've been on and things like that. So lots of good stuff there. We would love for people to come and connect with us.
Awesome.
And we'll put all that stuff in the show notes as well so people can get a hold of you. I'll add that social networking business app up there as well. But otherwise, it was an awesome story. I'm so happy that you guys are where you're at, and the leap paid off for you guys, and it's not done, which is the exciting part.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're still early in our journey, and we're really excited for everything that's ahead.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you back to see what the progress is. So keep on moving. Good luck with the capital raising.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you guys shortly, I'm sure. We'll get you guys back in for an update.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Have a great
problem.
weekend.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.